Hello, and welcome to Austin Miller's Post-Chorus Podcast. Ep.5 with Megalomatic.
So we are a band called Megalomatic. I am Craig. I play guitar and I sing.
I'm Ben. I play bass and I do the odds backing vocals and that.
And some
Nice
sick
one.
synths.
And some six synths.
Cool. So the first segment is what, why, where, and when. So it's what do you write about, why do you write, when do you write, and where do you write?
Cool. So I've taken some notes on this. They're like the least comprehensive notes ever. So let me just get them up. It was literally this morning. I was just like, I should probably think about this stuff. But we'll start with what. I don't even know if I've done this in the right order or not. But what. So it's kind of lyrically, it's all about whatever's kind of going on in my life at the moment. It used to be before I had any life experience. Like when we started this band, I was 16, 17. So I was really inspired by like TV shows and stuff like that. I've got a couple of songs about like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead and all that kind of thing. But then as life did its thing, I had more to write about, like kind of introspectively and stuff like that. So songs we write are usually about kind of what I'm going through in life, like mental health kind of stuff, and just dealing with things that happen in life being life, and that kind of thing. What else have we got in my really comprehensive notes here? Yeah, as I said, just life being life, mental health, relationships with friends and family, and kind of dealing with all that stuff. I don't really have much else to say about what I write about than that. It's always kind of like it comes to me at the time. I don't like ever sit down and be like,
I'm going to write about this.
Yeah, exactly. Usually when I'm writing stuff, it's like with lyrics especially, because they're usually the last thing I add to a song. It'll just be like I'll be out on a walk, or I'll be at work, or I'll be hanging out with somebody, and then I just like a line comes to me and I'm like, oh, that's cool, and I'll write it down in the notes on my phone. And then from there I'll kind of take inspiration from that and figure out how it kind of relates to stuff that I'm going through and that kind of thing. Which kind of brings on to the why do you write. Other than a general kind of love for music and all that kind of thing, it can be very, very cathartic, writing music and stuff like that. Especially in a time when everybody's talking about speaking about your mental health and all that kind of thing. I know that can be really difficult for a lot of people still. So for me, music is kind of how I do that. It's really nice just to be able to take all that stuff that you're going through and feeling and putting it into a creative kind of outlet and all that kind of stuff. And especially it can be really helpful in that sense when you take this, like for example, a lot of the stuff I write about is negative stuff, getting that out of my system, and when you take that and then you create it into this fully fledged song, and then you release it and other people hear it, or you take it out and you play it live and stuff like that, it can just be an amazing feeling going through that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is a way to kind of turn something negative into something kind of positive as well, so you can kind of listen back to it instead of like, I don't know, like re-feeling like the feelings that you felt when you wrote it. You get like a new sort of, I don't know. It brings new perspectives to it, I think.
Yeah.
There's the guy who doesn't write lyrics.
Yeah. But you do though. You get a new it's something, it could be something horrible, and then you play it live, and then at the time it could be something horrible, and then you play it, and then everyone's smiling, everyone's having a great time. It's such a strange thing. You're like celebrating this misery.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it can be like.
Yeah. So we've done what, why, we've done when.
When is next on my list. This is the notes on this is literally 3 words, and it's whenever inspiration strikes. Which is I don't have like a set kind of thing where I'm like, oh, I'm going to sit down at nighttime and write a song about this thing. But as I said, like it can strike at any time. It can literally be, I'll be sitting playing a game or something like that, and I'll just see my guitar looking at me, and I'm like, oh, I'll pick that up. I've got an idea. Or I can be out on a walk and a lyric will come to me, as I said, and then I just write that down. But other than that, I don't.
Disruptive as well. Like you can do something different, and you're like, I want, like, for example, like if I need to like practice, like I feel like quite often in the mornings, like I'll do my classical guitar practice, and then I've noticed with this lockdown is I want to write something. I'll have like in the morning, I'll have like a line come to me or something. You're like, oh, if I need to do it, and you're like, no, I need to like get this down, do that first, because it's otherwise I won't
Yeah.
want to do it. Type thing. I've noticed that recently.
Yeah.
We used to be quite bad for that. We probably still will be when we get back to with practicing. We'll be sitting, we'll be like, oh, we've got a gig coming up, so we'll practice. We'll write out a set list and we'll go through it over and over and over again. Then that's the plan at least.
Yeah.
Then we'll get like 2 songs into it, and then it's like, oh, I've got this riff by the way, and then we just jam for like an hour on this riff or something like that when we've got a gig the next day. We're really bad for that. So as I said, inspiration can strike at just the weirdest kind of time. And it can, as you said, be really disruptive. But it's not exactly a bad disruptive.
No, it's not. No.
But it's just another kind of creative thing that comes to you when it comes to you.
Yeah.
And if you have to drop whatever you're doing at the time, then so be it. Sometimes it can end up being really, really worthwhile, and then you've just got like a really good song that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah. What about you, Ben? What when do you find?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say I agree. It just kind of it would come to you whenever. Like, and sometimes it would just be like it will literally just be like jam something at practice. Like sometimes we would be like setting up, and obviously like Jamie will set up his stuff first because like he'll generally have his drum kit already set up when we go in. So me and Craig will be setting up a pedal board. Maybe he will just start like jamming a beat or something, and then maybe like Craig will start like jamming along with that, and then be like, that's kind of cool. Like record it on our phone or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, like a lot of time we'll just like write a riff and we'll just be like we don't know what to do with it, and we'll just have it sitting about for sometimes even like a couple of years before we're eventually writing a song. We're like, here, that riff that we wrote a few years ago, that would work like quite well as like the verse in this or whatever. Like so I quite like doing that sort of I quite like that when that sort of thing happens, when like an idea you've initially kind of like put to one side kind of resurfaces like a long time later.
Yeah, I've got a riff like that. It's still there and it's like really catchy, but I can't write this. I just can't. In the past, it's like about 2 years old and just can't get a song out of it yet. Like I've got the riff, I've got the point where the vocal. I want the vocals to come in, and then it's just like I don't know what to do.
Yeah, we've got so many riffs like that.
Like, no. Yeah, cool. So that takes us on to. Have we talked about where? Yeah, where do you?
Where again, that's just kind of wherever the kind of ideas come to you. At home is where
really deep. The where could get like where like is it,
where are you emotionally when the idea comes to you? But yeah, a lot of the time, what will happen is I'll sit down with my guitar at home and I'll just jam out and see what happens. I usually have all my like my amps and pedals and stuff like that at the practice place. So sometimes I just jam on a rubbishy wee Argos nylon string guitar because it's the only thing that's got any kind of volume to it. Or I'll just pick up one of my electric guitars not plugged in and jam some stuff. That has changed a lot recently because I've got my recording set up and stuff, so I can actually plug into that, play headphones and play guitar full volume till like 3 o'clock in the morning and nobody's going to care. But yeah, other than that, at home and in the practice place as well, where it used to be that I'd sit at home and write 100 riffs, put them together and take them to the guys and like, this is a song, and then that would be it. But we've gotten a lot better over the years at kind of collaborating on that kind of stuff, where I'll come in with an idea, or Jamie will come in with a drum beat, or Ben will come in with a bass line or something like that, and then we just build upon that, and we'll have tons of different variations of something and build on that and see where that takes us with a song. But yeah, in terms of where, it would be at home and practice place for us, because as we've said, we're lucky enough to kind of have recording setups at home and stuff like that now. So we can just, if we've got an idea, plug into our laptop and sit that down and then take it into practice in a couple of weeks' time or something like that and build on it.
Does anyone ever come in with like a fully fledged song, to practice? Does anyone like, you might have an idea of how you want the drums or the bass, so you might even have a bass line, or Ben, you might even have like lyrics that you might want to. Has that ever happened?
Yeah, not as commonly as it used to. Like I think it'd be more common that Craig maybe come in and he'd have like the idea for the song. So you'd be like, oh, I've got these parts, and this is like I kind of know how it fits together, and we're all kind of like shove it together and try and make it work. Like it can be quite an impractical way of writing sometimes, because sometimes we will just like jam a riff and we're like, right, that's cool as fuck, where does that go? And then we'll just stand around looking at each other going like, I have no idea.
Yeah, we just stand still for like 10 minutes, just pretending we're thinking, but in reality we're just stumped.
Yeah, but it is a good way. Like I do quite enjoy it. Like I feel like you're able to get more different sort of ideas out of it if you're able to do some sort of like aspect of it together. Obviously, like Craig sometimes will like write a riff and we'll have like a specific drum beat or a bass line in mind, but like generally we'll just kind of do whatever we think personally just fits best.
Yeah, I found that as well with my stuff. Yeah, that you might have something you're like, that's how I want it to sound, and then someone does something. Sometimes you do something different, and you're like, nah, like let's just do what, and then let's do what I originally had in mind. But other times you do something that's like way better than you could have thought of yourself.
Yeah,
like,
that happens a lot.
I'll leave that to you because you do this. You know, you do that, especially with bass with me, and like my bass lines aren't that interesting, so I'll leave it to like Julian, and he'll come up with something really cool. I'm like, oh no, just leave that to you. You can do that. But yeah,
my bass lines are usually just just do what I'm doing, and then and sometimes what I'm doing is all this mad, really. Yeah, it's usually root notes over a chord progression, or I'm playing something that's just impossible to play on a bass guitar, and I'm just like, Ben, just do that, and then it just doesn't happen. There has been a couple instances as well, which is surprises, where Jamie's come in with a riff idea in his head and he sang it to us, and that's how we've formed a song. I'm trying to think what it was. I think it's one that ended up being scrapped for parts and used for certain parts of our new songs that we're working on. But he just came in and he was like, he had like a drum beat kind of thing. He's like, oh, I've got an idea for a riff to go over this, and he just kind of hummed it to us, and that was like a thing. It had never happened before at that point. So it's really cool when new kind of methods for writing songs are come up, or somebody who's, for example, Jamie doesn't play guitar but he came up with a guitar riff idea and that kind of thing, or Ben's come up with some really cool vocal melodies and stuff like that, and backing vocal parts and stuff like that. Even from before he was would really consider using backing vocals and stuff. So it's always kind of cool when somebody surprises you like that in the songwriting process as well, because it can be the difference between, as you said, there's some things that, like, when you write a song and you think you've got it totally finished, there's some things that somebody else can add to it that you just couldn't even thought of being a thing. Like, there's a song on the new album that we're working on that we thought we'd pretty much had the chorus ready, and then Ben came up with this amazing backing melody, and it totally transformed the song and kind of transformed what we wanted to do with the song, and really changed the vibe and stuff. So that kind of thing, when that pops up, is really cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's something that I think you forget sometimes, that you'll be playing, you know what it's going to sound like, and then it just comes out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, and you're like, that's why we can do this, because it's
and that's why you do it with other people.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes us on to the next segment, which is influences. So you kind of touched on it earlier about you liking like video games, books, movies, things like that. So can you go into that a bit more, and maybe what other influences, and music as well, lyrical things? I can see the Enter Shikari in the background. The what's it called? The Dear Philosopher.
Oh yeah, the Dear Future Historians.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fantastic. My girlfriend got me that for my birthday, and it's just it's so good. You don't see bands doing that a lot. Like, it's just I don't know if you've seen it before, Ben, but it's it's just a book that their singers put together, where it's got all the lyrics for all their songs, and each song has like basically a mini essay with it, talking about like how they wrote it and what the lyrics are about and all that kind of thing, and it goes through all their albums, like all their demos, EPs and singles and stuff like that, and it's just really, really cool. You don't see a lot of bands putting that stuff out there.
Yeah, that sort of stuff's great when bands put out like that level of information about their songs. I'm always love geeking out about that sort of stuff. Like, yeah. I don't know. In terms of influences, like musically, obviously, there's a lot of bands like kind of similar-ish to us, like Black Peaks and Mastodon and Arcane Roots and stuff, who've been like massive influences. but like we're also quite into like all our sort of other different types of music that we'll try draw influence from as well. Because I feel like you can draw influence from any sort of music and apply it to what you're doing, or pretty much draw influence from anything and apply it to what you're doing. So into like a lot of sort of like more indie stuff, like everything Bon Iver, and then into the odd rap thing like Run the Jewels and like Childish Gambino and stuff like that. James quite into his old school rap, like Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg and stuff. Old school hip hop, old school rap. I'm sounding like a 7-year-old. The old school rap that these kids are doing these days.
What, 10 years ago? Nah, further back than that. Another one, as you said, you can take inspiration lyrically from places that don't exactly line up with what you do musically, because as Ben was saying there, with like the kind of the rap stuff and the indie stuff, a couple of years ago, be ages ago now, it'd be like 5-6 years ago now, Ben first showed me Frightened Rabbit, and Scott Hutchinson's lyrics are absolutely incredible, and even though the music's totally different to what we do, lyrically, you can take a lot of inspiration from. There's a couple of songs on older releases that I totally ripped off of Frightened Rabbit, but they're like big, heavy, riffy, 6-minute long prog songs. Just the sort of thing you wouldn't ever imagine from a band like Frightened Rabbit, inspiring. But as I was saying as well, the past year or so, I've gotten really into soundtracks and stuff like that. I started reading a lot more, and at the start, I couldn't really focus on what I was reading 100% if I didn't have anything on in the background. So I would stick on like movie soundtracks, game soundtracks, and stuff like that, and I ended up getting really into them. Horror movies and kind of darker stuff, especially because I think there's a lot of composers out there like Colin Stetson, who did the Hereditary soundtrack. He does some stuff for Red Dead Redemption 2 as well. He, even though he's primarily a saxophone player, he's really good at with just that one instrument creating tons of atmosphere, and it can be really dissonant, and there's tons of tension and stuff like that. And soundtracks, cause they're going along to like a story that's being told, they're really good at conveying like emotion and following like dynamically where there should be tension and release and that kind of thing. So I really got into how all that kind of stuff works, and in the past year or two, watching films, I'm a lot more kind of mindful of where the music's coming from and how it kind of works against what the story's doing and stuff. And it's not something that's totally evident in our music yet, but it's definitely something that I'm wanting to explore further in the future. And in terms of books and stuff like that, I think in general, just reading a lot more has helped expand my vocabulary and all that jazz. So I've been reading a lot of Stephen King. There's a guy called Adam Neville that's amazing as well. And again, they kind of fall into that horror, dark kind of stuff genre, which really works with the backdrop of big proggy metal riffs.
It's just that style of music as well, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Fit that in quite nicely.
Yeah, for sure.
What you're doing. I think so. The next part is like, have you got any techniques you use or anything that you may have taken? You were talking about taking like lyrical ideas from Frightened Rabbit. Any like songwriting techniques that you use yourself, you think you might have come up with, or you've taken from other sources that you've heard about, you know, anything like that?
I don't think there's anything that I can wholeheartedly say truthfully that I came up with, because it's probably impossible to come up with like a totally fresh songwriting technique these days. But something that I do really like doing with my lyrics and stuff like that is taking the idea of like one certain piece of imagery or metaphor or something like that, and just expanding that across a song over the lyrics and stuff like that. I don't know how much we're allowed to say about new albumy stuff yet, Ben.
Everything. Let's just say everything.
Everything.
Let's just
there we go. Let's come up with
whole half recording.
There we go. New album listening party, even though it's not done. But there's a song on the album called Anniversaries, and that's about kind of how when certain things happen to you in life, obviously they're always going to fall on a specific date, and then when you go forward, So like a year from then, on that same date, you'll probably still be thinking about that same thing, because the date brings up certain memories, and it's kind of like going through year by year, and kind of getting further away from that and moving on from it, kind of thing, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
But in that, I do kind of expand upon like taking that one idea of like spots on a calendar kind of being moved forward through years and years, and expand on that quite a lot. So I do like that, taking one specific theme and just stretching it out as much as you can lyrically, and it's quite difficult to come by for me, because as I said, sometimes my songs are just compilations of like a line here or there that I've jotted down on my phone over the years, and I'm just like, I need something, I've got a melody but it'll have words, I'll try and piece these together and make sense. So when I do come across an actual theme that I can sit down and think about and expand upon, it's really exciting.
I think that makes it. I find if you've got a theme, and especially if you write songs like from the with music first, which I do as well. If you don't have a theme or like a word, like if you get like a title of the song, or if you get like a line that you know what it's about, and then you can expand on that. I find it's so much easier, and you write it so much quicker than if you don't have anything. You're just kind of like grabbing at things, which I'm doing. I've got a song to say at the moment, which is basically just this riff that loops. But I can't find. I've written about 10 choruses, but I don't like them. But I know what the melody should do. I know that sounds good, and then it's pretty catchy. But yeah, it's just the lyrics. I don't have the theme for it, so I can't.
Yeah. That's pretty much exactly how the majority of the lyrics of that song came about. I came up with that kind of theme in my head about anniversaries and dates on the calendar and stuff like that, and then that made me write the chorus, and then I had the chorus instantly, and then the rest of the song just came super fast. But for us, lyrics are always the last kind of thing. As you said, we write stuff, music first 100% of the time, and then the lyrics will probably come get finalized not until we actually like record a demo for it or something like that. What will usually happen is we'll write the song musically, we'll demo the instrumental version of it, and then I'll listen to that instrumental version, like just slave over it for about a month and try and get something, and then I'll go around to Ben's house and we'll try out different vocal ideas and stuff like that. And that's always the very, very last thing, because I can't really put lyrics to music and write vocal melodies straight away. I always have to kind of sit and listen to the song and kind of figure out where the vocals should sit and stuff.
Yeah, and what comes naturally as well, I guess. Like, yeah, no, it's funny because there's some songs that I won't know where the vocals are going to be like for it for ages. I think there's still a song on the album that I'm not entirely sure what the vocals do for it yet. I've heard practice here and there, but it's difficult to always make it out perfectly in practice because everything's so loud.
And it's always you try and crank in the practice, you try and crank the vocals up, and then it feeds back.
Oh, it just screeches at you, and it's like, no,
like, I can't hear it.
Yeah, we've just moved in.
You like where are we in the song? If you don't know the song yet, watch me try.
Yeah, we're not long in a new unit that we're still to get proper padding up in the walls and stuff, so that the feedback can be pretty bad. And it's also a PA system that I'd brought in that only kind of half works anyway. Like I remember when I bought it, the guy I bought it off was like, "Yeah, it might not all work." Like I was like, "All right, okay, cool." I was buying it for the mixer, and he was like, "Here's some speakers that may or may not work." So. But yeah, it's difficult to properly hear what it's like in practice. It's always best to hear it when everything's recorded and you can actually like make out what everything's going on. And yeah.
So
in terms of no, I was just gonna say, because you'd written down in the questions stuff about songwriting tools and stuff like that. It's kind of difficult to talk about songwriting these days and not talk about the importance of smartphones, like being able to just sit your phone down and record an idea the second you come up with it. Like I was looking through some of my voice memos from the past year or so that I've had this phone just now, and there's literally just, you can hear, I'm like walking down the street or something like that, you can hear all this ambient noise around about, and I've just got the phone up to my mouth and I'm coming up with a drum beat or something, and just and you just hear all this stuff around about me. but yeah, there's so many ideas that if I didn't have a phone that could record stuff, I would have lost years and years ago. Same with there's tons of same with the writing notes on my phone as well. That's where all my lyrics go. My handwriting is absolutely atrocious. If I was writing stuff down in a notebook, I would look at it like a year later and be like, what is that even meant to say? So being able to, my phone is basically my songbook at this point. It's got all these riff ideas and vocal ideas and lyrics and stuff like that. So it's kind of difficult to talk about songwriting these days and not talk about that in terms of where I keep all my ideas and stuff.
Voice memos.
But as I said, now that I've got voice memos, that's the one. I had the acapella app for a while as well. So you can kind of on that you've got I think in the free version you can have 3 different parts playing at the one time, where you can there's no click track or anything like that. It's like the most difficult thing to record with, or just like a 3, 2, 1, and then you go. But you can have 3 parts at the one time. So I used to use that a lot for working out vocal harmonies and guitar parts with bass lines and stuff like that, and guitar parts with me drumming on my leg and and stuff like that. So that was always really good as well. But now that I've got proper recording set up and stuff like that, that's about to change, I'd imagine. Another thing that's really good is you've got so many companies making amazing guitar plugins and stuff like that for their DAWs. So I've been able to just sit down and mess about with it's the Neural DSP stuff that I'm using. So they've got an Abassi one for Toast and Abassi from Animals as Leaders. There's a Pliny one as well. And being able to sit down and just mess about with all these different tones and stuff like that. And you get so many tones that are just so creatively inspiring as well that you wouldn't have come up with just plugging straight into an amp and using your normal sounds. So it's really cool to be able to use that sort of stuff to come up with new ideas as well.
Yeah, there's so much to say for that, and kind of rock and metal music as well, with like guitar tones and effects influencing or songs.
Yeah,
you can get a sound. And then you play a riff to it, and it just sounds good in that with that tone.
Yeah, I think people that are shutting themselves off to effects, because I think you do get a lot of people that are like, oh no, it's just guitar and amp distortion for me. That's it, and a tuner. And that's all. That's the only pedal I need. And it's like, no, but you're closing yourself off to all these different avenues that you can go down. You can make such more creative music if you've got these extra tools that you can use.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think anyone that views that as cheating is just just hasn't figured out how to get himself a decent pedal set up yet. Calling everyone out with just using amp distortion. But I think using using pedals, it really does open up a whole extra amount of avenues for you, I think. And it does mean, I don't know. I'm just babbling now. Just babbling about pedals now.
Yeah. No, we
it takes time.
Pedals do play a massive. Yeah, pedals play a massive role in our songwriting as well, because as I say, when we bring in a riff to work on and stuff like that, sometimes we'll just jam that one riff for about 10 minutes going through all these different variations where each of us will change our pedals, or Jamie will change his drum groove, or I'll go down to a cleaner, more subtle tone or something like that. And we wouldn't have that variation to experiment with where we want a song idea to go if we didn't have guitar pedals and stuff like that to totally change up your sound and change up the vibe of what you're trying to do.
Totally rely on.
I was trying to avoid saying that.
We don't actually play anything. We actually just hit open notes. We just let the pedals do everything. It's not cheating.
There you go. Yeah, it's something as well. For me, I've got my Boss I'm not even know what it's called now. ME20, I think it is.
Okay.
It's the multi effects thing.
Yeah.
And I've first, I don't need too much for what I just need a clean channel, a kind of light distortion, and then a kind of heavier distortion, and then I've got the Digitech Whammy for the octave thing, because we use capos and stuff for the different tunings, and literally just because it'd be too complex to playing that tuning without the cap. So it's a long story, but to get it sound heavier, I use that octave thing. So if I've got a capo on the fifth fret, it's if it drops, it'll be a G. It's you get a low G as well, so it sounds like so I've got that as well. I've got the octave pedal.
That's exactly how we
thing as
do
well.
our heavy riffs as well.
Yeah.
Like we're tuning stuff doesn't really matter a bunch. That's what we. The only reason we're tuned as low as we do is 'cause it's easier on my voice. But we're tuned to E flat standard and sometimes drop C sharp. Or if it really demands it, we go down to drop C. But yeah, then we just use that. That Digitech whammy is like the absolute crux of my tone. Like it gets all your heavy riffs and stuff like that. But the setting that I've got on, I don't know if it's the same one that you use. It's the when you've got it kind of up like this, it's the octave down, but then you can press it down to get the octave up thing as well.
Yeah,
Going between that kind of stuff.
You can split the split channel thing, so you get the
Yeah,
actual octave
yeah.
and you get the two. Yeah.
So I use that a lot. That's kind of how I track all of my main big heavy riff kind of stuff, and it just makes everything sound so chunky. It's great.
Yeah.
It is perfect for, like, you know, you've got the octave down for the heavy riff, you've got the octave up for the lead stuff and the ambience, and nice little dynamic.
I think there's a new one they've come up with. It's like there's no like set, there's no pedal on it, or whatever you call it, the flute
the expression pedal.
Expression pedal, yes, it's the right terminology. It's like it's just like one button. You can just press it and you can change the settings on it. I think it's a new thing. And it's like really small pedal. I saw it a while ago. But yeah, so let's talk a bit about the song that you sent in.
Okay, let's go for it.
So you sent in, I'm going to say this wrong, is it Civility Smiles?
Yeah, Civility Smiles.
Yes, indeed.
Civility Smiles, oh thank God. Did I say it wrong? I've got that thing, we do you never say a song out loud. That's not just for me.
Yeah.
And you think it's called something, but you've never said it out loud. And then you go to say it, and then, I mean, I'm dyslexic, so it's maybe for me, like, it's like, I hope that's right. Like,
no, I feel that as well.
And then, so it's like, that's the first time I've said that. So sometimes I'll say things like, for example, it was, for me, it was the Twilight Sad, right? I'd never thought about saying the Twilight Sad when I first heard them. I called them the Sad Twilight. Like for some reason in my brain, I'd switched the words around. But yeah. Cool. Yeah. So you sit in Civility Smiles, we're going to play the demo of it first. Then we're going to talk a bit about that demo and how it got to like the finished article. Product. So, can you tell us a bit about the first demo before we play a little bit of it, and how that kind of came about?
It's the first demo. It's kind of it might be the first song of ours that had like a properly decent sounding demo that was thought out and stuff like that. So that demo and is better than the EP ones, Ben. We'll
Very
say
true.
that much. But that was, even though it is an early demo, it's still kind of later on in our songwriting stage. We don't really have any decent recordings earlier than that, other than like phone recordings that will have been lost on 2 phones years and years and years ago. But with that's kind of at the stage where we've come into the practice place, we've worked out all the riffs and stuff like that, but we've kind of just bashed them together. So it's not super refined. The vocals are at their earliest stage and stuff like that. We've not got any harmonies or anything like that. A lot of the parts you'll hear comparing the demo to the final version will be a little longer because we'd rather have too much of a song and then be able to shorten it down than have a really short song and then have to expand upon it. So there is stuff that's in the demo that isn't in the final version, as you'd expect. And in between the demo and the final version, we kind of decided there was a couple of dynamic shifts in it and stuff like that. The one you noticed, the first chorus in this is like a clean kind of thing. And we decided before the final version we wanted it to be more of a straight 3.5 minutes, just punchy in the face, heavy song. So we did change some of the dynamic stuff as well.
There was something else that we changed after we originally recorded the demo that will sound a little weird as well. There's like a stop just before the last chorus we didn't have when we originally recorded the demo. When we originally recorded the demo, we went straight from the sort of heavy riff straight into the chorus, and then it wasn't until after we recorded it and we're listening back, we were like, actually, it'd be better if it stopped for a second there, just soft vocals and everything burst back in. So we just had to kind of edit that in. So it's quite a
Oh, I
Quite
forgot
obvious
about
jump.
that.
Yeah, you can hear everything just instantly just like cut out and then just burst back in.
Yeah.
But it's just since it was just a demo, it just like just hear if like theoretically it would work
Yeah.
like, in a recording.
Yeah. Cool. Let's have a listen.
Cool.
Smiles, but this feels like a like
Yeah, yeah. Me and Jamie bullied Craig into that fade out for months. We're like, no, it needs to end a fade out.
I know. And then I got my way in the final version because there's no fade out. I used to be so against fade outs. Some part of me thought they were a lazy way to end a song. It's like, oh, you don't know how to finish a song, so you just. But then there's one that we've done in a song since that has changed my mind. I will say no more than that.
Yeah, I think if it's used in the correct way, it can be quite effective. Like on something like that, I really like when it's used in a really heavy riff that's just continuing, because it just fades out in your mind. The heavy riff's just still going, and then by the end of it, when it's complete silence, I'm still like pure grooving out to the riff. I'm like, oh yeah, this is well heavy. And I'm like, oh no, it's stopped. Like, yeah, I forgot how slow that demo is. It's like half the speed of the original. It's the actual recorded version. It's so slow.
Yeah, we're quite bad at gauging tempos and stuff like that. Well, I say we, I mean me. Usually I don't know how I do it. My brain just must be like, oh, I don't want to go too fast, so I'll pull it back a little bit, and then it ends up far too slow. Because one of our earlier EPs, it was me who was responsible for playing along to get the clicks and stuff like that. And we listen back to that. Not that we do it very often, but whenever we do, it's so slow and sludgy and horrible. And we've talked about re-recording it maybe, but no. But yes, that's one thing. The tempo definitely changes between the demo and the final version. You can also tell another thing we did. This is the song that I was talking about when I said when it's required, we sometimes go down to drop C. Because you can hear in that demo, my voice is killing me. Like you can just hear it breaking up horribly. So
it's quite a cool effect, I think. Like because it's like you're like,
yeah,
you just hear it. Like, I do enjoy it. It's nice to listen to. You're like, oh, it's really good. But for you, you must be like, fuck, like try to like sing.
Yeah, no, I can still feel the pain. I can still feel the pain of trying to sing that out because that's like at the very, very top end of my register in that key.
But you're not just singing; you're adding grit to it as well. You're like distorting it as well. So that's gotta like, it's tough.
That's another thing. I think there was about how long would it be? About 4 or 5 months between that demo and the final version, and in that time was probably when I spent my most time working on my vocal technique. So you can hear the difference between how kind of raw and gritty and painful that the original demo sounds to how more kind of contained and thought about the final one sounds. It still sounds as heavy as ever, but doesn't sound quite as much as if I'm just screaming with no intention to it. Like,
yeah, cool. You can also hear like the guitar. You can just tell that's a Strat when you hear like that. You just hear that, and I love that way, like because like Strat, they weren't designed for that type of music, but they work so well for that.
Leo Fender hated heavy music. He was disgusted whenever a metal guitarist was playing one of his creations. But now these days it's become such a thing that I guess that so many heavier bands are appreciating like single coil guitars and stuff. It's quite funny how that works out.
You just cut through so much more. You can just it's the kind of twang or the kind of slap kind of sound.
It's got that really kind of percussive mid-heavy kind of thing that really works, especially with the octave pedal. It just rounds that out so much more, and I love that on heavy riffs and stuff.
Like the band, like Arcane Roots would be like the main band that you like. That's what you hear that, and you think you think Arcane. I mean, the first time I saw you guys, like the guitar tone, I was like Arcane Roots. I was like,
that's the reason that Andrew Groves is the reason I've got the Strat. I've got it sitting right here. I got this because it looks like Andrew Groves' guitar, and that was the first Strat that I ever got, and it's since become like such a huge part of our sound. Just a single coil and a Stratocaster just being battered.
Yeah, it does sound good.
Briefly speaking of Arcane Roots, I think we actually met you at the first Arcane Roots show we ever went to.
I was the first one I ever went to as well.
Oh, that was such a great show.
Really?
And
I was
we also wrote. we wrote a song about that show. Well, not specifically about the show. It was named after the show. We had a song called "Knees Crushed by an Electric Circus," which was all about getting our knees crushed by the stage of the Electric Circus.
I was lucky at that gig because I was like at the side. I was at the front, but I was kind of at the side.
Yeah.
So I didn't get the full,
we were right in the middle.
But I was like, my crotch was right at the edge of this, like in between the stage. So I was, if someone like flies into me here, like I'm going to have any, I'm a goner. Like, but that was a really good gig. That
was amazing.
Yeah, but that tone is what I kind of rip it off as well. So I've got a Gibson, but when we get, not all of our stuff's that heavy, but when we do get heavy, that octave pedal thing, when you hit that with some more distortion, like it just like cuts through so much more than it would otherwise. But yeah, so so it went from this version you had, and obviously parts, you said a lot of parts changed. So what was the kind of time rate? What was the kind of time scale between that and the finished, when you went to record it in the studio?
So as far as I can remember, we went through a kind of long period of songwriting by recording demos for it from about December 2017 to about February 2018. So sometime in that period that we recorded the demo for it, and then it was late May, early June that we recorded that song, the final version of it. So yeah, it's about 5-6 months kind of difference between the two versions.
You got all that time to like come up with like different ideas and kind of get it together for the final. I know for me as well, like I mentioned it a few times in this, but we had a song that I thought it was done, but I was bored of the second verse. I said, I'm just getting bored, so we need to like change things up. It was literally 2 weeks before we went into the studio to record it, and we changed the second verse, like not completely, it was still harmonically the same, but it was just like all the parts that happened, like everything broke down. Like I sing, I don't think this is working, the whole thing goes like loads of synths and stuff, and then there's like a kind of a Ruben kind of breakdown. For those of you who know Ruben, listening as well, and you guys, I take it you've seen the Jamie Lenman shows. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe I didn't mention Jamie Lenman when I was talking about lyricists and songwriters and stuff. Jamie Lenman's just next level.
We've had the nicest dude.
Yeah. This is where we flex.
You
met Jamie Lenman. Yeah. November last year. That was a bit mad.
How was that?
It was so good. It was so good. Like, because he had Jack from Arcane Roots playing drums for him as well. So we were just kind of like fangirling out the whole time, just trying to be cool about it, and just like, yeah, it's not a big deal. Just not a big deal.
Where was that? Was that in?
That was the Caves in Edinburgh.
In Edinburgh. I think I went Edinburgh, to the same tour. I saw him in Manchester. That's that was a really good show. But yeah, nice. So the demo went to the finished. So you recorded it in May 2018. Said.
Yeah, and then
cool. So let's play that and talk about that then.
When you see the waking like you're
So there's like you can hear how it's changed. You can hear like, and I really like the EQ at the beginning and how it kind of sweeps in.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
whose
Yeah.
idea was that to kind of add that to?
I think that was
the
Bruce's
sound?
actually. Bruce
Yeah.
did bring a lot to the sound of both that and symbolism and Stand Arsh actually. Like there's another thing over that starting bit which you can't really hear, but it's Jamie reading out the ingredients in the back of a packet of crisps. Slowed down massively, and I'm pretty sure reversed. So,
reversed and distorted.
so you can't make out what it is at all. It's just like a really random sound, but just know that Jamie is reading out the ingredients from a packet of crisps at the start of that song.
I've heard something similar recently. It was Foo for Everlong at the beginning of Everlong. It's something similar to that. It's Dave Grohl like reading something from a book. Can't remember what book it is. He like reads it.
Oh yeah, I
It's, like,
forgot the start of that's got a really weird reverse effect on it.
It's mad.
Like whispery thing.
And yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Bruce is Bruce Rental, who produced this track, Civility Smiles. Just in case you're like, who the hell is this Bruce they speak of?
Yeah, I probably should have clarified the mysterious fourth member of Megalomatic, Bruce. Bruce is like an excellent producer, and like he did actually, speaking of songwriting, actually we probably should have brought him up earlier. He did actually help us a lot, kind of help find our sound a little bit. And even though we're not doing the album with him, we've learned like so much. We still learned so much from him, like songwriting wise, that we're kind of able to, I don't know, take that away with us and learn from it.
Yeah. What we could have done with this is, instead of using a more recent song like Civility Smiles, we could have shown you the original demo for Stand Arsh, and we could have shown you the final version of Stand Arsh.
Oh,
just to
God,
talk about how that's probably the biggest leap between a song demo and what we've actually released. Because something that Bruce taught us about really when we were doing pre-production on that is how to kind of make a song make sense and not have any part like overstay its welcome, which is something that you can really tell between the two different versions of Civility Smiles, because there is a lot of the changes we made were just trimming the fat and cutting out bits that went on a little bit too long, like that heavy post-chorus kind of riff. In the demo, after the kind of feedbacky guitar solo-y thing, it goes straight back into that riff again for another rotation. But in the final version, it just goes straight back into the stop before the chorus. And that's something, if you've got a really good riff, it's going to be a really good riff, whether you play it 2 times or you play it like 17 times. So you like it's you help us kind of listen to something and objectively think whether it needed to be there. So that's something that's present on this song a lot.
I think that's something as well, like taking if you're listening to the song, but like try and take yourself out of it, and like what would someone hearing this for the first time, or someone who hasn't like been involved with it, what would they think? You know, like it's like, do you really need that? Like, I try to do that some of my stuff as well. Try and keep it as minimal as possible. If it needs it, it needs it. If you want to do that, fair enough. But it's keeping that like, so it's holding people's attention. That's really important, and especially with kind of like prog rock and metal, it's like how can we like, you know, take this somewhere else and keep it interesting, and as well like the grooves as well and the riffs. Like I'm not sure it happened much there, but with a riff, you can do so. You can with the rhythms and the way you can take that, with the drums as well. Like you can do so much with it.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely.
And I heard it a little bit there from the previous demo, but it's like that riff groove and that riff kicks in. It's like you expect it to do something. Or you can have an idea of it's going to be like this. The rhythm's going to be it's going to fall there, but you pick somewhere else. So like all different polyrhythms you can put over it.
Yeah. It's another thing we should probably mention as well that when we're writing stuff, it takes Jamie a while to go from hearing a song for the first time to getting his final drum part. So I think the drums in the demo are a lot more basic and kind of just following a rough groove of what's going on, and then here in the final version there's a lot more kind of flourish to it, a lot more of his kind of actual style and that kind of stuff. Because I'm pretty sure in the original, like the main riff, not in the demo, the main riff's just kind of like a doom 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 kind of thing. But in this, he's got all kind of like snare, like that kind of stuff just thrown in.
Yeah.
And I'm instantly reminded in doing that of that meme that I tagged you in the other day, Ben, of the singer trying to explain a drum part, and I stopped myself before I could become it. But yeah, a lot of stuff between the demo and the final version just becomes a little bit more refined and thought about and stuff like that. Another thing, there's no like vocal layering or anything like that in the demo. The demo, I'm pretty sure it's just me like single take kind of singing the song as I hear it. But in the final version and stuff like that, we've got the double tracks, we've got like room mics and stuff like that on the vocals as well, and then we've got harmonies and stuff like really subtle harmonies just to kind of thicken everything up a bit. But we've got that in there as well that wasn't in the original version, because I think if we're talking about like the chronological order of how things happen, harmonies are definitely dead last.
And for like lyrical content as well, I think someone. I think someone's at the door there. I'm right in the
I did
part of the
definitely
house
see
as
a
well.
face.
Did you see a face there? I heard something.
Yeah, somebody opened the door.
Yeah, so like lyrical content as well. Like what's this song about? Like Civility Smiles. What's the kind of concept behind it?
So a lot of the songs that I wrote round about the same time, because that was a hefty kind of writing period for us. I think we wrote about 5-6 songs, maybe even more. Some that we've not used yet. Some we released. So Coil and Civility Smiles were released at the same time, and then some even got kept around for the album we're working on just now. But a lot of that was about. I'm going to sound like such a like I'm in Jimmy Eat World or something like that, but it's they're very much breakup songs, very angry breakup songs.
All the way that teen
and
angst.
kind of yeah, of course.
Teen angst at 23.
When you're 20. Yeah, I was 20.
The new album. That's the album title for the.
Oh, there we go. Teen angst for the 23-year-olds.
Oh, that'll get number one in 2005.
Yeah, love it. But yeah, so it's a kind of all the songs around about that kind of thing where because as I said, I went through a pretty rough breakup and that really badly affected like my mental health and stuff like that. So all the songs around about that time, that's probably the most cathartic kind of songwriting time that I've had. Just being able to get all that kind of stuff out, and this is definitely the angriest of the bunch. This is just I am feeling upset, so I'm going to scream in a room for 3.5 minutes kind of song. It's another one of those ones where I came up with the title Civility Smiles like so much longer before we actually wrote the song or anything like that. I just had that sitting there for a long time. And then we wrote the song and I was like, that would be a really cool chorus line or something like that. And then just kind of expanded upon that and spilled my guts onto a page, and then that was the song kind of done. That was a really fast one to write as well.
Nice. So yeah, so like you were mentioning earlier, like what's next for the band? So you got an album that you were like midway through recording, but that obviously had to stop.
Yeah.
So how much can you tell us about
that? I don't know. We're not really tied down by anything. If we wanted to, we could just spill everything about it, but we're not going to, because that would be really dumb. But what we can say is we recorded all the instrumentals and stuff like that in January at the cottage in Lochfine, which is an amazing wee residential studio. Just in kind of whereabouts would you say? I always say it's up north, but it's not up north. It's like kind of
west-ish.
Ben recorded the majority of it himself, which is a big kind of leap for us. Going from working with like a professional engineer who's been working on this kind of music for years and years and years and years to what is basically Ben's first professional recording. So it was a bit of a scary thing to leap into, but we think it's turned out pretty fantastically. It's definitely the most kind of us sounding thing we've done, as much as I don't want to sound like every interview before an album comes out. It's like, oh, it sounds like us, it's so honest. But it does, it really does kind of sound like what we sound like live and what we sound like in a practice room, but just put on an album. And it is currently, the songs that we have finished are currently being mixed by Mark Roberts, who works with like Black Peaks and Tosca. He's done some Jamie Lenman stuff. So he's been a massive help in all this. And Jake from Triptych as well was incredible. He came up and helped us with a lot of the recording and stuff like that. So Ben didn't go insane slaving over a mixing desk and a bass guitar for 2 weeks in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, because it was long days in that studio. Like we'd try get in there for like, it was what 10 o'clock starts, and then we'd usually be in there. We'd also have a lunch and a dinner break, and then we kind of generally be in there till about between midnight and 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Like it was long days. Very
long day. And we didn't even get it all finished up there. Which is why we're now recording all the vocals at Ben's. I can't even remember how many tracks there is. It's like 11 tracks or something like that, and we've got about 4 or 5 of them finished. But then coronavirus put that to a stop. Just it was like, no, you're not allowed an album yet. But we don't really know what it's called. We don't know what's going to come out. We don't know what's going to happen with any of it. But literally the first thing we're going to do as soon as we're allowed to socialize again is get finished on the vocals and stuff like that. And then that'll hopefully mean we're well on our way to getting it released and stuff like that, which is exciting stuff.
We were meant to record as well last month, and then obviously that didn't happen.
It's so gutting. It's so gutting.
You're like, I have to wait for a bit, but you know, it's for the best, you know, and it's probably I think with the music industry as well, I think this. Well, I mean, it's going to be hard to begin with, but I reckon it's going to change things, possibly for the better as well. Just with the way things were going, and especially with like streaming and you know all that. Hopefully that it does change things for the better and makes people realize that the value in music a lot more.
Yeah, because
and playing live.
You've seen it about all the time and stuff like that, and people who don't put value in the arts and stuff like that try and live a week in this lockdown without any form of entertainment, that kind of thing. Like people don't really put as much value into the entertainment they consume as maybe they necessarily should. I don't know if I'm in a position to be able to say that kind of thing, but you know, it can be true. Another thing we should mention as well is, depending on how things go, we do have a show with Haggard Cat coming up in September, if we're allowed to do shows by then. So that'll be cool.
Yeah,
because that was meant to happen in March, and then I'm pretty sure it was meant to happen the week lockdown started. And
yeah, pretty much. It was.
And so that got postponed, but they were lucky enough to have us on. No, we were lucky enough for them to want. My brain's just gone a bunch. But,
they were lucky enough for us to accept the gracious offer.
We were lucky enough.
If we have to support Haggard Cat, I guess.
It's good that we're on the show, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be good.
Yeah, that'll be good. because we've been following those guys since they were in Heck, and we played with Heck back in 2015, and it was just absolutely amazing. They're really nice
I
guys.
saw them in Black Peaks and they did a tour a few years ago.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Heck,
I went
the
to
guy came in. The guy came into, I think it was Electric Circus as well. The guy was like, the main, what's his name? I forgot. And he ran into the back of the room with the guitar, and then he stood up in the bar, and then I was like, oh my god, there's no escape. Like,
I went to 3 shows on that tour. I went to 3 shows on that tour, and the Aberdeen date of that tour is it still your favorite show of all time, Ben?
I still think it's my favorite show of all time. And then I heard Black Peaks ripping into that show on an Instagram live thing when they were like, "Oh yeah, I remember we played the Tunnels in Aberdeen and that was an awful show." And I was in the comments like, "That was the best show I've ever been to. What are you talking about?"
Don't ruin it for me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because it was one of those ones where if we were to play it as a band, I'd probably at the kind of stage in our career that Black Peaks and Heck were at, I'd probably be able to understand from their point of view why it wasn't their favorite show of all time. But like from our point of view, it was like we traveled up to Aberdeen from Glasgow, and it was just us, a bunch of our friends who'd been on a couple of dates of that tour, and then it was Bad Sign supporting, who are an absolutely incredible band. Sadly, don't play music anymore, which sucks. But go and check out Bad Sign. Then Black Peaks and Heck, and it was like there was like 50 people. It was one of those shows where it was like really quiet, but everybody there was just having the best time of their life. So there was like all this room for people just running about and moshing and singing along and stuff, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I'd seen them 2 days before that, so I went down to see them in Sheffield. Then came up for the Edinburgh show at Electric Circus, and then we went up to Aberdeen for that as well. And it was just a really cool weekend, and that show definitely capped it off in style.
Yeah, that's cool. So I think we've talked about everything. Then you've got some music coming out whenever it's going to come out, and
that's basically what any artist can say. At the moment. We've got some stuff coming when we're allowed.
I think everyone's the same, but yeah, it's been great to chat, and I look forward to coming along to one of your gigs whenever that's going to be, end of the year next year. And yeah, it's great.
Hopefully.
Cool. See you guys later.
Yeah, catch you later.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, cheers for having us, man.